The term eco-village I first heard when we founded Gen Europe. In Steierberg, I was at the founding meeting with Declan Kennedy and Silke Hagmeier. And we had a discussion because at that time I didn't like it at all. I thought community is the right, intentional community is the right expression. But as in English, community is not clear what it means, because everything can be my community in English. In German, it's much more definite. It's people living together. And so I agreed a bit sadly to use the term eco-village. Because in German, Ökodorf is a very old-fashioned expression of a village life, and this is not very kinky. And so, yeah, now we live with it, but I would never call ZEGG an eco-village in German. It doesn't express where we were coming from as building a strong community among people, and everything else comes second. It was in '84, I was in different kinds of movements. Since I was, I don't know, 16, 17, I was committed to environmental movements and anti-war stuff. And I was, at the time when I came to the Bauhütte, I had a time where I was around as trainer for nonviolent direct action in Europe. There was training collectives that existed of people from all over Europe that met once a year and shared and did nonviolent trainings. I had learned that in the US when I was following a track to the Resource Center for Nonviolence, which I heard of in my refusal to join the army in Germany. I had to find out why I wanted. I had to justify it. I was on a trial for 2 hours with officers questioning me, so I had to prepare well. And during that, I found about this center in the US, which was founded originally by Joan Baez. And there I got involved in nonviolent direct action against nuclear power plants or Lockheed Martin, which were producing that and stuff. Weapons industry. So I came back and joined. And so I was in different movements and they were all fragmented. And when I came to the Bauhütte at that time in Schwand, it all merged, it all came together. And what was private before became an aspect of political outlook. So how we live, how we love and work is also political. So it came into one big sphere. I was very adapted as a man to feminism. So I tried not to threaten women in how I looked, in my behavior and stuff like that, because I was growing up with men are frightening women. So this was also a liberation that I was, again, I could grow into myself as a man and accept myself as being a man and wanting things, wanting sexuality. And I found women who want sexuality also. So this all merged together. The political, the ecological, the social, the worldview. It was, that was a big celebration. And it was, of course, it was challenging also because all my concepts with which I came weren't very valid anymore. I had to reconsider them. One thing was that I understood, because of what Dieter Doom explained, that the internal change of ourselves as human beings is key to changing how we affect the environment and the world. That was new to me at that time, to look at it that way. I always thought, why don't people do what they know they should do? And there I had an answer. And now the answer is even bigger, because now we have all this trauma knowledge of personal trauma and collective trauma and whatever. So that was a big thing. And the other big thing was to include sexuality and love and relationship into a social sphere, to talk about it, to share about it, to receive mirrors about it, feedback. So this, and the whole thing about sharing what is inside, what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling to the outside with people, with many people, not just with one or two. The problem is not the world, it's not the ecology, it's us, how we live in this ecology and how we separated ourselves and thought we can use it. So the problem is inside of us humans. I sometimes say it's kind of, we carry the matrix of what we see out in the world inside of us, all of us, culturally, and what we have learned from generations. And we are a traumatized humanity. I mean, it comes out more and more. So we need to heal that in order to not give it on from generation to generation. So the forum for me was a big thing, because it's I share what's inside, what's present at the moment. I share it in a group of maybe 20, 30 people, and then I receive feedback, how they perceived me. And I think ZEGG-Forum said once that the difference, the gap between my self-perception and the perception of others, how they see me, is the shadow. So it's never the same. So I need to bring this together. But it's not only dark things that are in the shadow, it is also my qualities that are so normal to me that I don't see them. So I get feedback on that, and I see, oh, that's why I always expect others to do this also, but they don't, because they don't even see it. It's different and whatever. So it creates much more understanding. We always said loving is seeing, seeing is loving, because when I see a person in the center of a circle sharing their innermost what's up right now, authentically, then whatever they share, even if they do things that conflict with what I want, a kind of loving comes, because I see the person as they are. I see the background, I see the motivations, I see how they come to this conclusion and whatever. I can understand. Then I can question the conclusions, but still I have a different connection. It's not you think this and I think this, and we can't get together, but it's kind of merging then. So this is the great gift of forum, the feedback and the daring to be seen in the center of people, be seen in how I express my voice, how my voice shakes at points, how sadness comes in where I normally go over it and don't show it. And that becomes obvious to myself and others. One of the problems of the conflict with ZEGG, that I think we drifted off in functioning in society as a seminar center, and we lost this part. We do forum when we have intensive times, like 4 times a year for a couple of days, but it's not enough. What gave us this foundation at the beginning was doing forum every day. So you have a continuum, you know, somebody receives mirrors and you see them again next day and see how they received the mirrors, how they landed or not, and they can speak about it again. It goes on and on. And when you do it this way, then forum creates communal values because people speak of what's valuable to them, what's sacred to them. So even when we don't write it down, we know this is the condensation of who we are, what we want. And the deeper we go, it's not so much different. It's pretty much the same. We are not so complicated. We don't want to be touched anymore at the places where we have been lost, where we have been hurt. So we protect these places, and we protect them by differentiation in who we are, different identities, all this, what's coming up more and more. So it's every person is an individual, yes, but underneath we are one humanity. No matter where people come from. Beneath all cultural differences, we have different cultures and stuff. But if you go deeper, we are not different. We want the same things. We are socialized in a different way. We are all this. We are maybe also traumatized in a different way, but not even that. I wouldn't even imagine that. Yes, as Germans, we have a different trauma than somebody from Russia or whatever. But yeah, so this was good to see that we basically want the same things if we dive deeper. In Germany, there's this radical, or the right-wing party, AfD, Alternative for Germany. And sometimes, twice I went to, when they had a table in the pedestrian walk, I went to them and asked them, what do you want? I want to get to know what you want underneath. So I could, we talked a while, also with the NPD, which is even more right. And I could find, yes, we want to protect the life of our friends. We want to protect what we call home. And we have a different concept of what is home. You know, the right wings think Germany is home. And I would say the world is home. So then we have different conclusions. Their ideology is really crazy, but if we can go underneath, then I thought, okay, now ZEGG is protected because he will not agree to attack ZEGG, for example, because he knows somebody and has he's shared. So human contact is also protection, probably the best protection we can make. The first ecological thing was I had a little bed, earth, where I planted kohlrabi and tomatoes and stuff in young age, and I was very proud when my mother cooked the stuff I grew. So this was maybe my first memory of being interested in that. And then I got just interested in how things work. We had flowers in the cellar for wintering. We put them down, and there were lots of face on them, you know, the amphids. And then I thought, okay, what can I do? And I brought in these little bugs, with the dots on it. I don't know how to call them. Marine caterpillar. Yeah. So I collected them because they also came in and fall and were on the window. So I collected them, brought them down there. And then the amphids were eaten. Not completely, but pretty much. And then suddenly the amphid, the bugs, the ladybugs disappeared. And I wondered why is that? Because the amphids went up again. And then I saw that behind on the window were spiders eating the ladybugs. So I understood, okay, it's now I need the birds in to eat the spiders. So I understood something of this system, that it's all an interconnected system. We can't take out a part of it and then think it will work, because it's one life sphere. So maybe that were the early findings. And when I see something, I want to understand it. So I'm always interested in finding out. And I'm not digging into books then, but I'm observing, and then things come and I see, I walk by a tree and I see how it changes, and I do something to this tree and I see how this affects it over the years. And something in me registers that without me having to memorize it. I think most of it I learned by doing and observing. And then of course, I learned things of permaculture and Fukuoka and all kinds of things, but they all fit together in this. They observe the same things. And they created beautiful concepts and beautiful ways of doing things, which are understandable for most people. Yeah. When I came to ZEGG, it was, I mean, it's famous, this area around Berlin, as the SANDBOX of Germany. So it's all glacial sands that came with the glaciers in the ice times. And when you take the vegetation away, there's only sand. So we dug a new well, and it was drilled down, and they took out the different portions of soil and laid them out, and it was all different heaps, different colors of sand. It was only sand, 40 meters deep sand. Sometimes a bit reddish, sometimes a bit yellow, white, brown, when there's a little bit of humus in it. So when we came, it was obvious this is sand, and I came from the Black Forest and it was more fertile. Mm-hmm. So I knew I had to improve the soil. So I tried many different things, many different ways, and in the end, over the years, 2013, I ended up with Terra Preta. I added clay because sand needs clay to form permanent humus. I added organic matter and clay, but then in the rains, the clay gets washed out and the humus gases out, so you lose everything, and after 3 years, you have a bit brownish sand, but it's still sand. So Terra Preta was, I think, is the best solution on sand, which I know now, because the biochar doesn't wash out, and the biochar stores all these microorganisms and nutrients, and the plants can access it. And it stores more water than even clay. I still use clay in the mixture and stuff, and I think it works well. The garden was in the beginning was very skeptical. Now they are really much in favor. After years, they found that it's really working well. So in areas like here, I think it could be a solution. It would be a solution, including a different kind of agriculture, of course. Because the rains go really down here. We have an arid climate with 650 normally millimeters, and now we are around 400. And this is, you can't do agriculture with 400 millimeters on sand. Doesn't work. You need agroforestry or something. That's the only way probably you can survive here in the future. Tending the soil is the most important, because when the soil is full of nutrients and alive with microorganisms and stuff and little worms and stuff, then the plants that grow in it will be healthy, and the fruit that we eat from the plants, or the plants that we eat, will be healthy also and create a healthy life. So it's the best medicine, healthy soil. Yeah, one project I did here was planting an edible landscape. It was the idea to find the things to eat when you do your paths through the community. And after improving soil and planting these things, and people eat them and throw seeds away, they regrow in different places. In the beginning, they wouldn't on the sand, but now the soil is good enough. If you throw an apple core, it might grow. There might be an apple tree in 10 years. And so this is one passion of me, and showing that human settlement and nature protection are not two different things. They can go hand in hand. We don't have to take people out of protected areas to have them protected. It depends on how the people act. like here, wildlife and birds and stuff is just a magnitude bigger than it was before. So the life on this 10, 14 hectares is much stronger. And it's visible. People see it, people feel it when they come here. Yeah. And so my main passion is really to live together with people in an inner space where we say the things that we see and perceive about each other and what we think about each other, and come into cooperation with that. Building community and clear spaces of feedback where we know about each other and we don't hide things anymore. This and building trust, and trust is the key of it. This is kind of the social soil on which healthy humans can grow. Because now with the COVID stuff, we have lots of information about the immune system, how it works, like stress is killing it. And so how do we create an environment which is home, so also cozy, but also challenging in the way that of course, I need to look at the matrix I talked about before. I need to look at my inner settings, you can say, my inner programming, and how I can change this so that from this blueprint comes the world that I dream. And that's the analogy of the social soil. It needs the challenging bit and it needs the cozy bit and the trust. I don't know if you're familiar with Bauhütte. He's a brain researcher, a quite famous brain researcher in Germany. And he says, we will not change ourselves if we are not challenged. We need to be shaken. Because if we are not shaken, we will stay at what we are, because the brain always tries to save energy, because the brain is using our most energy, more than the whole rest of the body. So the brain tries to make it simple. So it tries to stay with what it knows. Even if I'm in constant fear, sometimes staying in the constant fear is more my comfort zone than changing it, because I have to restructure things. Until a year ago, I was living a life where I thought I know what I will do next year. I know what I will do the year after, probably. And now I'm shaken out of that, because of the conflicts at ZEGG, but also the world situation. And I find myself in a situation I can't plan anymore. I don't know what will be really in 2 weeks. I cross that bridge whenever I get to it, yes, but it's evolving and surprising. Yes, I want to lay every information on the table, and then we sit around it and talk and see what makes sense in all of this. What combination makes sense, and we form our opinion together, not individually and then fight, but we see what makes sense. You say this, but how do you see this? And so this time, this kind of getting together, for me, it is a time now where we should do this and know, as some people already say, know where our water comes from, know where our food comes from, know where our friends are, how we can stay connected. All these things, they're the most important. And in the end, one inspiration was when I was with Ina in South America. I could see that we have a totally different concept of life, the buen vivir, basically, but it's more than that. It's when they receive money, there's all these little kitchens in the towns where you can eat. And when you eat there, the whole family of this person who cooks eats there also. So basically what I pay goes into the food of the next day so the family can be fed. So it's this continuous system. And when they have money, when they get money, they spend it immediately. And for things to make presents to friends and stuff like that, they take care of their human network of friendship. That's most important to them. That's their security, not money or goods or whatever, but the human social network. And we here, we think we need to keep things for ourselves, have a big bank account, a big house and stuff like that. It's totally different. And of course, it's a different climate. It's when things grow all the year, when it's warm, it's a different climate. But we can learn from that.